Many actors are obsessed with, will do anything to get a part, and if there's a good part out there, you'll say anything to get it. You have done that as well in your career.
Yeah, no,
What's the biggest lie you've told to get a part?
I think there are millions of them, but there was a thing about 10 years ago that Tom Hooper, who directed Les Miserables, was auditioning for a thing about Queen Elizabeth. And I had my last audition, and just as I was leaving the room, he said, "One last thing, Eddie, have you ever been on a horse?" And I said, "Yes." Walked out the room, having been on a horse, aged 4, and kind of led around a paddock by, you know...
Right, and you gave the impression that you were
I gave the impression that I was a bit of
ride.
a horse aficionado. Cut to 3 weeks later, we're in Lithuania. They've built a huge Elizabethan street. I'm on a gigantic stallion with like 40 Lithuanian horse stuntmen behind me. Helen Mirren is at the end of this big road with rain machines. She's dressed in this huge Elizabethan gown, and they're attaching a spur to my feet. And I'm wondering at what point I admit that I've basically never been on a horse in my life. They called action, and I basically went ferociously down at 100 miles an hour, almost killed myself, almost killed half of the crew.
Clear to everyone you don't know how to ride a horse.
Absolutely. Tom Hooper, the director, comes from behind Helen Mirren with a huge loudspeaker and goes, "You're a liar, Redmayne." At which point I was sent to horse camp, and actually in Les Miserables, a film I did with him a few years later, there's a scene in which he had my character ride a horse purely to get back at me for those years of lying.
It wasn't even part of the plot.
It genuinely wasn't
He puts you
part of
on
the
a
plot.
horse. It's actually a scene where you're going to bed.
Totally.
Like riding a horse.